everyone. Today is Monday, January 10th. This is the first meeting for the 2022 year. It's my honor to call the meeting to order. The reason I'm calling the meeting to order is because the mayor hasn't been sworn in, nor have the new council members been sworn in yet. So as soon as that occurs, then the mayor will take over the meeting from that standpoint. So if I could, let's start out following the pack along, and so we'll do the swearing-ins as they're listed in the packet, starting on page 6. And for council members and others who might be interested, what we'll do is we'll swear in all the members first individually, and then we'll have a recess so that pictures can be taken with family and all that kind of thing. So that's our plan for this evening to get the ball rolling. Sound okay?
Yeah.
All right, so if I can, Sean? If you want, we'll kind of move the chair a little bit out of the way, and we'll have you stand closer there so we can get a good camera shot, and everybody can take pictures.
You're not going to stand closer together?
I can stand a little bit closer if that works.
Still a little closer, maybe?
All right.
Mary, if you want to take your mask off, maybe?
We sure can if you want.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we're pretty close.
That's okay.
All right. Leave them on.
That's okay. All right. So I'll have you raise your right hand. Shannon Noel, do you swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and that of the state of Minnesota, and that you will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of mayor for the city of St. Peter, Minnesota, which is the office that you've been elected to the best of your judgment and ability? If so, say, I do.
I do.
All right. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Very much.
Right where the blue pen is, if you want, on the desk.
Oh, sign.
Yeah, we'll have you sign.
Down. Yes.
So Ben, I believe you're next.
Daryl's next.
Oh, is Daryl on the
Yeah,
list
Daryl.
next? You want me to look to make sure? Yeah, oh, sorry,
Yeah,
Daryl.
it's in the
Yeah,
back
you're up next,
page.
Daryl.
I don't need to be in any more.
It's a little late for that.
Mask us up to you, Daryl, whatever you want to do. Okay, Daryl, please raise your right hand. Daryl Pettis, do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and that of the state of Minnesota, and that you will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of council member for the city of St. Peter, which is the office you've been elected to? Will you do this to the best of your judgment and ability? If so, answer, I will. I will. All right. Thank you very much, Daryl. Congratulations. We'll have you sign. All right. Now, Ben, you're up. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
All right, Ben, mask on or off? It's at your pleasure. All right. Please raise your right hand. Thank you. Ben Ramp, do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and that of the state of Minnesota, and that you will faithfully and impartially discharge the duty of city council member in and for the city of St. Peter, Minnesota, which is the office you've been elected to the best of your judgment and ability? If so, say, I do. I do. All right, thank you very much. Congratulations. Dustin, you're next.
South side, represent.
Right here. All right. Mask, no mask?
Everyone's got the mask on, so let's stick with it.
Okay, that's great. Thanks for having your hand. You ready?
Yeah.
All right, Dustin Sharstrom, do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the state of Minnesota, and that you will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of council member in and for the city of St. Peter, Minnesota, which is the office you've been elected to, and to the best of your judgment and ability? If so, answer, I do.
I do.
All right, thank you. Congratulations. All right. Madam Mayor, if you want to take over, and I think probably your first order of business is to call a short recess.
Thank you. We'll call the meeting to recess at 7:05 p.m. for the purpose of family photos and merriment, I guess.
That's great. All right. So,
All right, we're going to call the meeting back into session. The time is 7:13, and we're going to go a little bit out of order. We're going to start the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next up, you all have a copy of the agenda in front of you. Are there any revisions to the agenda? Seeing none, I'll take a motion to approve.
So moved. Second?
Do we go around for this one, or this is a, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The agenda is approved. Next up, approval of the minutes, which begin on page 10 of the packet. Everybody's had a chance to review them. Are there any revisions to the minutes?
Point of order, are the new members supposed to be voting on the minutes, or should that be?
Well, it certainly can be both. If they feel it's an accurate and true portrayal of the minutes at that time, they can vote. If they choose to abstain, they can certainly do that as well.
Okay.
And that's
Thanks.
not a roll call vote, that's just a
Voice vote.
voice vote, yep. Any revisions to the minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes as presented? Oh, sorry. We need a
So
motion for
moved.
approval. Thank you.
So moved.
Second.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
The minutes are approved as distributed. Next up on the agenda, visitor comments. This is the time in the meeting where visitors can address the council regarding an agenda item. Do we have any visitors in the audience wishing to address the council? Seeing none, general visitor comments, comments from the audience on any matter whatsoever. Seeing none, we'll move on to approval of the consent agenda. The consent agenda begins on page 14 and concludes with a resolution that begins on page 50. Are there any questions about the consent agenda? Carrie.
I have a correction, which I've already sent to Barbara, but I will point it out. It's on page 51. At the very top, Assistant City Attorney just sent a change to Barbara to change that to Stephen Winkler, I
That's
believe.
correct.
Thank you, that's correct.
No further questions.
Any other comments, questions, revisions? Brad?
Just a question for Pete on the, it's on the work for Minnesota Square Park. If I counted right, are we using about 83,000 of the 130,000? Basically, this is that $65,000 grant with the 65,000 matching.
Correct.
So, and that is, so that looks like, is this gonna be most of it, or over half of it, or do we have a big chunk to go?
With the projects that we have specified in
Okay.
here,
Yep.
we'll be real close to completing what we need to have done. I think there's one more project left to finish up after we get all our elevations adjusted.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Any other questions? Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
A second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
This is a resolution, so we call the roll.
That's right. All right. Do you want me to read the resolution?
It's really up to you.
Beforehand? Okay.
So, there's, some mayors have read or directed staff to read portions of this resolution. It really is up to the pleasure of the mayor to help determine how that wants to go. You do have a motion on the floor. This is a resolution, so it requires a roll call vote. And so, Madam Mayor, it's really whatever you want to see done.
All right, well, we'll try. I'll see if I've got enough breath to read through this very long resolution. The resolution for approving the consent agenda items which include the following budgeted purchases in excess of $10,000 to Pembroke Companies in the amount of $33,374.25. ChemSol Corp. for $13,432 for pretreatment polymer and $41,607 for biosolids polymer, to Graymont for $32,100, to Hawkins for $48,515, to Pembroke Companies for $36,012, Nielsen Concrete for $27,269.10 for Minnesota Square Park, and for another section, an additional $20,098.20 to Dave Berg Consulting for $15,000 plus travel expenses. The St. Peter Herald is designated as the official newspaper for the city of St. Peter during 2022. The following institutions, as listed on page 50, as the official depositories of the City of St. Peter. Councilmember Carrie Johnson will serve as Mayor Pro Tem in the absence of myself during the period January 1 to December 31st, 2022. The following official appointments are hereby approved for the calendar year 2022. City Attorney James W. Brandt and Assistant City Attorney Stephen Winkler. Finance Director and City Accountant Brenda Isley are authorized to initiate and receive automated clearinghouse and electric fund transactions on behalf of the City of St. Peter. The following rules and procedures shall govern the operation of the City of St. Peter City Council. Those are listed on pages 51 and 52 of the packet, concluding on page 53. And the following council liaison and commission appointments are approved. I won't read the full list. That's on page 53, going over to the top of page 54. And the following advisory board appointments are hereby approved for the terms indicated. Joan Easton to the Civil Service Commission 2022 through 2024. The Heritage Preservation Commission for terms 2022 to 2024, Sharon Latinsky and Brian Oviatt. Hospital Commission 2022 through 2026, Ed Johnson. Library Board 2022 to 2024, Michelle Twait. Parks and Rec Advisory Board, Angelique Dwyer 2022 to 24, and Sam Mendoza 2020 to 22. And Planning and Zoning Commission, Mark Plotz for a term 2022 to 24. The following license application is approved subject to payment of the licensing fee in compliance with City Code. That's a temporary gambling license for Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation. And the schedule of disbursements for December 9th through December 29th and December 30th through January 6th. All right. And we already have a motion and a second, so Barb just needs to call the roll.
Councilmember Sharpsburg.
Aye.
Councilmember Blueflat.
Aye.
Councilmember DeVos.
Aye.
Mayor Noel.
Aye.
Councilmember Johnson.
Aye.
Councilmember Pettis.
Aye.
Councilmember Ram.
Aye.
Thank you very much. The resolution passes. Next up on the agenda, unfinished business. Adoption of a resolution accepting North Third Improvement, Livermore to Union. Pete is here to give us a report.
Mayor Noel and City Council. Here tonight to ask you to accept the 2021 North 3rd Street project from Livermore to Union. As you guys are aware, we authorized work to begin on that project last spring. You authorized $149,807.20 as far as the project was concerned. That included milling and bituminous replacement, storm sewer improvements at the Livermore intersection, and upsizing the storm sewer collection system to handle larger rain events. 2 intersections where we completed that, replacement of existing curb and gutter, sidewalk improvements to meet ADA standards. We did have one change order along the way where we found a multiple water service that we did authorize the contractor to correct, which is per our water service policy moving forward. We did also have projects where we worked with the homeowners to increase their want to improve their sidewalks and driveways along this project, which is a standard policy process for us. We did authorize and have waivers signed in the amount of $17,238.67. Our total project cost came in at $170,520.87. What we're asking you to do tonight is to accept the project, which starts the warranty period for the repairs, and then authorize final payment to WW Blacktopping in the amount of $18,980.70. City staff is very happy with the contractor, and the homeowners that participated along this project went really well for us in the process, and so we're asking that you approve the resolution on page 57 and 58.
Thank you. Any questions for Pete?
Mayor, members, if I may, I'll just point out that this resolution, although it doesn't state the change order, the financials that are within the resolution includes the change order. So by approving the resolution, you're ratifying the change order that was done in accordance with your policy.
Daryl?
Will there be an assessment hearing on this, or is the assessment already taken care of?
It's already been completed last year.
Any other questions? All right, if that's it, we have a resolution on page 57 accepting the 2021 North 3rd Street improvement from Livermore to Union project and authorizing final payment to our contractor. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, Barb, call the roll, please.
Councilmember Brewstack.
Aye.
Councilmember DeBoss.
Aye.
Mayor Noel.
Aye.
Councilmember Johnson.
Aye.
Councilmember Pettis.
Aye.
Councilmember Ramp.
Aye.
Councilmember Sharpston.
Aye.
The
Thank you.
resolution is approved. Thanks, Pete. Next up, new business, adoption of a resolution authorizing equipment purchase for Rivers Edge Hospital. And we have Paula Meskin here.
Paula is here.
Thank you, Mayor, council members. Tonight, I have for your consideration the purchase of 2 Stryker 8 large power saws. These are saws that are used for joint replacement, mostly hips and knees. We do some shoulders, but these are the larger power. These instruments continue to be high use at the hospital, and the additional sets will allow us to simplify our scheduling of providers so that we don't need to worry about how many surgeons we have performing surgery at the same time. It also allows us to turn them over a little less often, so the more I have available, the less frequently they're being used, which saves on wear and tear. The hospital commission has recommended the purchase of the Stryker instruments at the cost of $50,177.48. That does include all of the parts, the batteries, and a 1-year warranty on the equipment, and we would purchase this with hospital cash.
Mayor and members, if I can, to add to that, for new members, the reason that this comes before the council is under your ordinance, any amount capital purchase that the hospital makes that's over $50,000 is required to come before the council for approval.
Any questions from the council? All right, we'll go Brad and then Emily.
I have a Sawzall at home I don't use much. What if I just loan it to you and then I can just get it back?
It would be a
when-
lot easier. It would also be a lot cheaper if I could just buy something and hand it to you and send it home with you. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way.
Emily.
Yeah, Paula, I'm curious. I think I ask you this probably every time about warranties. I'm
Yes.
just really curious about the 1-year warranty and then how long this is expected to last and what the plan is for if anything should fail or malfunction in the meantime.
I'm prepared tonight. So these are a 1-year warranty on this equipment, and then when that 1 year is over, we have what we call a ProCare service agreement with Stryker, and they take care of all of the upkeep and repair on these, and if we need a loaner because something needs to be repaired, they provide us with that loaner as well.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions? If not, we have a resolution before us on page 60. Resolution approving purchase of a surgical saws for Rivers Edge Hospital and Clinic. I'll take a motion to approve.
So moved.
And this is
I'll
it.
second.
All right, seconded. Call the roll, please, Barbara.
Councilmember DeBoss.
Aye.
Mayor Noel.
Aye.
Councilmember Johnson.
Aye.
Councilmember Pettis.
Aye.
Councilmember Ramp.
Aye.
Councilmember Sharpston.
Aye.
Councilmember Brewstack.
Aye.
Motion is approved.
Thank you very
Paula.
much.
Thanks for coming, Paul.
Thank you.
Next up, under new business, adoption of a resolution regarding fire station USDA incurrence of indebtedness.
Mayor and members, this item is to approve a resolution that's required by the USDA, the United States Department of Agriculture, who will be the primary funder once your project reaches substantial completion and will essentially hold the mortgage for the new fire hall. While approving this resolution doesn't make the money move, it is a requirement as a part of the USDA process for the council to authorize this resolution before we go out for bids and before we are substantially along with the project. And so you'll see a little bit of information within your packet on pages 61 and 62. I don't get into everything related to the fire station because you've had a number of updates, and we'll continue to see a number of actions over the course of the next few months as you move forward, or presumably move forward with this project. The resolution starts on page 63 and runs into page 65. We really don't make any changes to these resolutions from USDA. They provide this to us in a form and format, and they do not look kindly on us substantially changing them. And so I will mention that within the body of the memo, I indicate that the number that's listed here could go up or down a little bit. That is possible. And really what happens is that resolution potentially gets modified at a closing date as you reach substantial completion with the project. But again, this is a requirement as USDA moves through the process for the funding for this project. Happy to answer any questions that you may have, but again, that resolution starts on page 63 and runs through page 65.
Questions for Todd? All right, I think we're ready to vote on the resolution. Page 63, resolution authorizing and providing for the incurrence of indebtedness for the purpose of providing a portion of the cost of acquiring, constructing, enlarging, improving, and/or extending its fire station facility to serve an area lawfully within its jurisdiction to serve. I'll take a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
All those in, Barb, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Doyle,
Aye.
Councilmember Johnson,
Aye.
Councilmember Vettis,
Aye.
Councilmember Rand,
Aye.
Councilmember Sherristrom,
Aye.
Councilmember Bruflat. Aye. Councilmember DeVos.
Aye.
Motion is approved. Next up, adoption of a resolution authorizing execution of agreement with the state of Minnesota regarding opioid settlement. That starts on page 66 in your packet.
It does, Madam Mayor and members. I can provide a lot more information, but you have talked about this at a workshop, and generally this does two things. The resolution does two things. It ratifies the registration that I've made on your behalf with the national registration base, and then it allows or directs the mayor and city administrator to enter into an agreement with the Minnesota State Attorney General related to the settlement. To be clear, what's going on is that a number of states have gotten together and sued some distributors and manufacturers of opioids, and there's been a settlement reached. And the funds that have been agreed to will be distributed amongst those states and amongst certain jurisdictions based on the level of participation. So in Minnesota, at least, it behooves the Attorney General's office to get as many communities signed up as possible that are over 10,000, and of course you're over 10,000 in population. Since we're not over 30,000, we would not get a direct distribution of funds. Nicollet County will get a direct distribution of funds as they participate, but there are rules or agreements within the body of the memorandum of understanding or memorandum of agreement that all the jurisdictions are participating in that indicate there's cooperative effort that's necessary with other jurisdictions. So while you won't get money directly, certainly we'll be involved in how those resources are spent, provided to groups. And again, as I mentioned in the memo we talked about previously, we really think that focusing this on education and other opportunities to help minimize opioid use is the way to go. And so again, the resolution in here, number one, provides for a ratification of the registration that I made on the city's behalf, and then approves entering the memorandum of agreement with the state of Minnesota. And that memorandum of agreement starts on page 68, and I'm flipping my pages. It goes for quite a few pages, and the resolution is on page 81.
Questions for Todd? We've got a resolution before us, page 81, resolution authorizing execution of Minnesota Opioid State Subdivision Memorandum of Agreement with the Minnesota State Attorney General. I'm looking for a motion and a second.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll, please, Barb.
Councilmember Johnson,
Aye.
Councilmember Vettis,
Aye.
Councilmember Rand,
Aye.
Councilmember Sherristrom,
Aye.
Councilmember Bruflat,
Aye.
Councilmember DeVos.
Aye.
Mayor Doyle.
Aye. Motion is approved. Next up, adoption of a resolution accepting updated spill prevention and countermeasures study. Pete is here.
Mayor Noel and City Council. As you may be aware, we have 7 areas throughout our community that are owned by the city that we are required to implement a spill prevention plan for the facilities. They are listed on page 83, and they include the main substation where we have large transformers, Broadway Water Plant where we have generation that we supply for backup power, our electric generation plant where we have 6 2-megawatt units up there, Broadway Substation, again transformer oil, Sunrise Substation, again transformer oil, Public Works Shop and Yard where we have a variety of fuel tanks and equipment that are around there, and in the wastewater treatment facility where we have a large generator for backup power with diesel fuel and oil. Keys to understand what a spill prevention and countermeasure plan is that we have had this since 2002 when we built the Broadway generation facility. So we fell under the EPA's guideline to require that we have a plan in place. The plan includes two things. One is identifying all of the resources that you have that could potentially be a problem, and two, what are you going to do if something would go wrong up there? We really haven't had to modify the plan too much because our facilities have really stayed the same size. We've had those in place. Our electrical engineer, DGR, out of Rock Rapids has supplied a lot of this information. We have gone through it as staff and upgraded the names that have changed, the employees that have changed, and the emergency contacts that have changed through this process. So it's relatively a routine operation that we're just asking the council to upgrade. And the reason that we need the council to upgrade is because law requires that we bring this to the governing body and have them authorize these measures, because there could be a large spill that does take drastic and quick action on behalf of staff. And so they want to make sure that we have the authority to do so, and that's spelled out in the plan. What I'm asking for you tonight is to approve the resolution on page 85, and then we will put copies of the plan and work with our staff to educate them to implement the procedures should something occur.
Anything to add, Todd?
The only thing that I'd mentioned that Pete said at the beginning is that this is an internal plan for city facilities. This isn't telling other operations that happen to reside within our community what to do. This is our plan for our facilities.
Right.
Questions for Pete or for Todd? Emily?
Not so much a question, Pete, just an appreciation for this. I just like seeing this kind of plan and forethought and just being proactive. And so I appreciate that you're doing this and taking
Great.
these measures. Thanks.
Gary?
Do we have to submit the plan, or is it something we just keep on record, and if we have an audit, it's checked? Or is it something we submit to the EPA and they look over it?
Yep, we do have to send in the resolution that says that the council has taken action on that. And that's really done through either the League of Minnesota Cities or Minnesota Municipal Utilities Association. They're the ones that come down and spot check us for insurance and different things, and this is one of the things that we needed to upgrade. So this is a process that we will get state approval or governing approval.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any more questions for Pete? All right, we've got a resolution before us, page 85, resolution adopting updated spill prevention control and countermeasures plan. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
We'll take, can you tell I've never run a meeting with a
You're
roll
doing good.
call
You're
before?
doing good. No one's been hurt yet.
Call the roll, please, Barb.
Councilmember Pettis.
Aye.
Councilmember Ramp.
Aye.
Councilmember Sharpstown.
Aye.
Councilmember Bruflat.
Aye.
Councilmember DeVos.
Jeez. Aye.
Mayor Noel.
Aye.
Councilmember Johnson.
Aye.
The resolution is approved. Thanks, Pete.
Thank you.
Next up, resolution approving modifications to the Apprentice Lineman Electrician position. And Pete, you're on board again for the next one.
Yeah, thank you. Mayor and City Council, as we discussed at our workshop, just a little bit of background about what we're looking for with our apprentice lineman job description is that we are entering a phase of our operations where we are looking at succession planning in our electric utility. It's very important as an RP3 community, and what I mean by that is a community that has reliable public power recognized on the national level. If we want to maintain that level of service, we need to start bringing some people through the ranks to replace the existing linemen that we have. We do have one superintendent and 4 linemen, journeyman linemen, authorized by resolution for operations, and my request tonight is that you approve the job description, which we talked about previously, and then that you authorize us also to add an additional apprentice lineman to our staff so we can begin the process of training somebody up to replace some of our dependable full-time staff.
We do need a correction within the resolution. Under item number 2, it says 1 superintendent and 4 linemen. It should really say 1 superintendent and 5 linemen, as we discussed previously.
So let me talk a little bit about our existing staff. As we had mentioned, we have 1 superintendent and 4 linemen. In the past couple of years, we have supplemented that with an apprentice lineman who has been limited to 900 hours. And so they come in during the summertime, and they usually don't get to the 900 hours because they're also looking for a full-time job. They're coming in with us, starting their process. The Apprentice Program really is about developing an educational background and getting the hours to become a journeyman lineman. And so what we do is we get somebody started, and then they usually go work for somebody else. But our process is they're getting a little bit of on-the-job training, and they're working with the staff in our system to complete their apprenticeship. My request tonight would be for our full-time. We have been working with some of the schools that supply apprentice linemen and asking them when they're going to have some people graduating from the program. Our goal would be to bring somebody in. It's about a 4.5-year process to come from entry level to journeyman level, and that includes about 8,000 hours of on-the-job training and about 40 books that they would have to go through and pass, plus a written completion test at the end of the 4 years of the apprentice program. The first 6 months, again, is probation, and they get a few hours that they can bank into their program to get things started. With your approval tonight, we will take this job description, work with apprentice linemen throughout the state, and try to get somebody on staff here in the April-May timeline, and begin working with our full-time staff.
Questions for Pete? Brad?
Pete, would this be replacing the 900 hours for the current one, or would you be continuing to have the 900-hour temporary employee?
We are proposing that this would replace that person.
Okay, so it'd just be adding basically about 1,100 hours a year.
Correct.
Okay.
We'll also be working in the future through our negotiations with our staff on a contract. You are restricted by state law on how many apprentices you can have per lineman, and right now that's 3 to 1. So we don't quite have enough for 2 apprentices to be on staff, but we can do that through negotiation, and we'll take that on here at the end of the fall season when Todd goes into negotiations.
Oh, that's it.
Would that become a problem, as we talked about in the work session, if we did have another employee want to retire, would that ratio then become a factor of doing this program?
It could if it happened before the end of December.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I do have a response yet. There's nothing to say that we can't do that. We may have some objections from the existing linemen because you really want to have that balance at the top of the educational process. We don't have the flexibility like Rochester or Elk River, some of the bigger communities. They have multiple apprentice programs, or apprentices coming through the process. We aren't quite that lucky. We're pretty bare bone staff, and so that does run into a little bit of an issue.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions for Pete? We have a resolution before us on page 91. One correction to that, as Todd mentioned under item number 2, or bullet point number 2, the resolution for adopting an updated position description for apprentice lineman, electrician, and modifying electric utility staffing levels. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved with that change?
Second.
Call the roll, please, Barb.
Councilmember Ray,
Aye.
Councilmember Sharpton,
Aye.
Councilmember Bluefett,
Aye.
Councilmember Dodd,
Aye.
Mayor Noel,
Aye.
Councilmember Johnson,
Aye.
Councilmember Bettis.
Aye.
Resolution is approved. Thanks, Pete.
Yep, thank you, guys.
Next up on the agenda, adoption of a resolution approving modifications to facilities maintenance lead position description. That is beginning on page 92. Joey. Oh, wait, not 92.
Yeah.
92.
Oh, is it? Yep.
Yep.
Oh, great.
Thank you, Mayor Noel, council members. I am here tonight asking you to adopt an updated position description for our facility maintenance lead position. As you know, when a vacancy occurs, it is our policy and best practice to review the position descriptions as we did at workshop last week. This is due to an upcoming transition, internal staff transition that we do have an opening. As you recall, last Monday night at workshop, we recommended a few modifications to the job description that was in place since early 2000s. So it was a great time to look at things. Some of those modifications included in the title of the position, from facility maintenance lead worker and dropping the worker to facility maintenance lead. Additionally, we moved a couple of the minimum qualifications into preferred qualifications, and then just a couple other verbiage changes within the job description. So the job description is in the packet, 93, 94, and 95. If approved tonight, our next steps would be to start recruitment in the near future. Any questions you may have?
Questions for Joey? Not a question. I did note on page 95, a stray colon after demonstrated on the second bullet point under desirable qualifications. That's just a really minor typo, but no questions from the group? Seeing none, we're considering the resolution on page 96 for adoption of an updated position description for facilities maintenance lead. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
I'll second.
Call the roll, please, Barb.
Councilmember Sharpston?
Aye.
Councilmember Bruflat?
Aye.
Councilmember DeVos?
Aye.
Mayor Noel?
Aye.
Councilmember Johnson?
Aye.
Councilmember Pettis? Councilmember Ramp?
Aye.
The resolution is approved. Thank you, Joey.
Thank you.
Next up, adoption of a resolution approving submission of a pay equity report. Sally.
Mayor Noel and council members, I'm here tonight, as Shannon said, or as the mayor said, to approve a resolution for the pay equity report to the Department of Employee Relations. Every 3 years, we are required by the Department of Employee Relations to submit our pay equity report. So Todd and I work through the numbers. Basically, we go in and we input all of our employees, which you'll see in the report, where their pay ranges are for the union and where people are and their pay equity points. Once you put that into the system for the state, then it spits out a report to us and tells us if we're in compliance or not. And this year, we are in compliance. What we need is in the compliance test, the results have to be 80% or greater. When we inputted the data for all the salaries as of December 31st of 2021, so that's what they're looking at is last year's data. It's due by or January 31st of this year. We were at 101.19, so we were in compliance. We didn't have to look at the other test scores or anything else. So all I'm asking is that you approve that I can submit this pay equity report on or before January 31st of 2022 and show that we're in compliance. Once I submit it, then there'll be a report that prints out that says we're in compliance, and we'll post that at the different facilities and with the unions so they know that we're in compliance. So questions?
Anything to add, Todd? No? Questions for Sally? All right. Well, we don't have any questions. The resolution is on page 102 of this packet. It's a resolution for adopting the pay equity report. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll, please, Barb.
Councilmember DeVos?
Aye.
I screwed that up. Mayor Noel?
Aye.
Councilmember Johnson?
Aye.
Councilmember Pettis?
Aye.
Councilmember Ramp?
Aye.
Councilmember Sharpston?
Aye.
Councilmember Bruflat?
Aye.
That was maybe just kind of make you feel better.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sally. The resolution is approved. Last agenda item under new business, adoption of a resolution approving a request for city assistance for Special Olympics Polar Bear Plunge.
Madam Mayor, members, you see that information starting on page 103. This is an event or activity that's been associated with Winterfest for a number of years and is what I would call hosted by the Nicolet County Sheriff's Office. Pete's team and some other groups provide a lot of assistance for this, and what you see within your packet is a request from the Sheriff's Office for that assistance, which includes cutting the hole and putting some bleachers, and on occasion there's some additional things that go on as a part of this activity, which is planned for February 5th. Since this is located on property in a body of water that you control, it's been the regular course of business that approval has been provided as long as they meet the requirements, one of which is ensuring that they have the appropriate amount of insurance, which your policy requires, and that they have the organizational structure to support the event. And so you'll see, again, the memo on page 103, the request from the Sheriff's Department on page 104, and the resolution providing for your approval on page 105. Happy to answer questions. I am not happy to jump into the water, so if any of you want to do that, that is fantastic. But again, the resolution's on page 105.
Questions for Todd? No questions for you, Todd. The resolution authorizing use of Hallett's Pond for the 2022 Polar Bear Plunge. Is there a motion to approve?
Second.
Call the roll, please, Barb.
Just so you know, we're going back to Councilmember Ruffin,
Aye.
Councilmember DeVos,
Aye.
Mayor Noel,
Aye.
Councilmember Johnson,
Aye.
Councilmember Pettis,
Aye.
Councilmember Rand,
Aye.
Councilmember Sharp.
Aye.
The resolution is approved. Next up is a resolution calling for a closed session. Yes?
Madam Mayor, if you don't mind, we'll do some reports first.
Oh, report.
And the reason, folks, for you members that are new, the reason that we do this is that it is not my belief that we will come into open session to approve anything that's gone on as a part of the closed session. The only action that you would take after this would be to come into open session to provide for adjournment of the meeting. It just provides for a little bit nicer flow and allows people so that they don't need to hang around any longer than they need to make things flow. So generally we would have reports and then a closed session. If there was action anticipated, that would likely come before the reports, but I don't anticipate any action coming out of the closed sessions. So if you have a report, Madam Mayor, if not,
I don't have a report. Thanks for everybody for being patient with me on my first meeting, and Barb for keeping us moving through the agenda.
I made no mistakes and showed them all.
all right, Madam Mayor and members, I'll hit on three primary reports. First of all, Martin Luther King Day is next week, and so that means that non-emergency offices are closed. The community center's open, but the rec department offices are closed. The library is closed, but transit runs, as an example, police department, all those folks are still operational. So I wanted to make sure that folks were aware of that. It also means that your workshop, rather than being on Monday, the 17th, will move to Tuesday, the 18th. The regular policy of the city council is that if your meetings are scheduled on a Monday and there's a holiday, it moves to the following Tuesday. So that's how we make that go. I do want to mention sales tax ordinance public notice. You'll start to see on our website information related to the sales tax ordinance, which is a requirement under state statute for the sales tax that the voters voted on in November, that, as you know, will be the funding mechanism for a new fire station. So we're required to publish that on our website 10 days, at least 10 days in advance of potential action. And so it's my anticipation that you are likely to take action around the 24th. So you'll see that information flowing onto the website. We do have communication with Department of Revenue on that, and so there may be a few tweaks that will come that we would bring forward to you, and that's okay. That's just part of how the process works. But again, we're required to provide notice, and people can see that on our website right now and into the future. Last, I'll mention Minnesota River Valley Transit Fairs. As some of you may recall, we've talked about, or at least the previous council talked about, in open session and at workshops previously, that MRVT made a decision to provide for charging fares in the 2022 year. Due to some software problems with the combined software with Brown County, True Transit, and us, for whatever reason, our portion was not able to be made operational by the company that provided that support or that software, which is called Route Match. And I could talk a lot more about this, but let me spare you the gory details. At this point, we're not 100% sure that that will be able to be operational in February, but it may be operational in February. So I wanted to make sure that people were aware that the board, MRVT board, provided staff with the latitude to not charge fares until that was operational. Now, the board can change that at any time that they want. By the way, they have a meeting coming up on Tuesday, tomorrow. And so they could make that change. But at least right now, I'm hopeful that by the 1st of February, that will be operational. And so the program that is called Easy Pay, which allows people to go online and pay, they can pay cash in the bus. You could call and buy your mother-in-law a ticket if you wanted to so that she could use the bus. Is not fully operational, but I hope by the 1st of February it will be operational. It might be a little bit day-to-day, but I'll be frank, very rarely do we have a complaint when somebody gets on the bus and expects to pay $3 and we say, oh, not today, we're not quite ready for that, you get a ride for free. Very rarely is there a complaint about that. So we want to make sure that we move forward and make sure that people are aware of that, and certainly we'll do our best to get information out as the situation evolves. Madam Mayor and members, that's all I have for reports to tonight. But as you started to say, the last page of your packet, on page 106, is a resolution calling for closed sessions. My ask here, Mayor and members, is that there be 2 separate closed sessions. One for discussion of union contracts related to police officers, detectives and sergeants, and one related to streets or maintenance. So 2 separate closed sessions. Again, one for police officers and one for your streets or maintenance division.
All right, that resolution is on page 106. Is there a motion to approve the resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll, please, Barb.
Mayor Hill,
Aye.
Councilmember Johnson,
Aye.
Councilmember Bettis,
Aye.
Councilmember Grant,
Aye.
Councilmember Sharpstra,
Aye.
Councilmember Leeland,
Aye.
Councilmember Cross.
Aye.
The resolution is approved. We'll adjourn to closed session. As Todd said, we will only return to open session to adjourn the meeting, and so we will not come back up here.
That's correct. So for tonight, sometimes, Mayor and members, we go to a separate room for closed session, but for tonight, we're going to stay in here because I have some visuals that I want to be able to show you, so that's why we're staying in here. So we'll clear the room, and then when we are done with your closed sessions, then we invite anybody that wants to come back, and then you'll take action to adjourn the meeting, I believe. All right, so we'll give everybody a few minutes to clean out. Tony will stop his equipment or put it on pause. We'll send Holly out for a little bit.
We are returning to open session. It is 9:06 on Monday, January 10th. The only agenda item left is adjournment of the meeting. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We stand adjourned.
I will not be here on Tuesday.
Say that again.
I will be here for the work session on next Tuesday. I'll be there.